Is Franny Fit Yet? How many followers did she have? God, last time I checked, it was at 40. Insta famous.
You guys are awesome.
I have been posting my workouts, my transformation pictures. I try and record at the box when my coach lets me, because sometimes he's like, no, you can't have a camera out on the floor, but
She's always on that Instagram.
morning, you guys. So many people reach out to me and they're like, oh, I want to try CrossFit, but I'm so scared. Trying to make somebody understand the opportunities until they actually experience it themselves. You know, you can tell somebody all day what's good for them, but being able to get somebody to take that first step and put their fears aside and just see firsthand what CrossFit can do for them. I'm so glad that I made that step. Growing up, my parents separated when I was 2. It wasn't the best childhood. My mom had substance abuse problems. I was overweight in high school, through grade school and middle school too. I wasn't active like some of the other girls. I wasn't doing junior high sports. Of course, yeah, I tried to diet. I wanted to be thin, and I was a very emotional eater in high school, so that always took over. Even when I did want to do something about it, I could never overcome those emotions to make the right changes in my diet. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people can relate to that, you know, just my mom, you know, used drugs, my biological mother, and she was just not the best mom. My dad wasn't in the picture, so there was that missing, and food was my go-to, my emotional support, unfortunately, so it got the best of me. When I moved here to California after high school, I think I was still like in that lost mode. I just moved away from everything that I knew. I moved here with my best friend and her family, which is where I'm still at now. Thankful for them, but at the beginning, I didn't know them. So I was like, okay, I'm in this foreign place technically, and my family was all in Washington, and like I said, we didn't have the great relationship, so it wasn't like I could run back to them. My mindset was not good. I was still that emotional eater, and maybe even more so, because at least when I was in Washington, I had some normalcy. I couldn't sleep. My sleep has always been so interrupted when I was bigger, you know, and I know it was because when I'm sleeping, it's hard for me to breathe. And I always had like tingling in my feet, which I know is, you know, a symptom to prediabetes. So that always really worried me. And I was always having to pee, which is another symptom. And I was honestly afraid to go to the doctor because I didn't want to hear that bad news. But I was so scared at that point. I was like, okay, like you have to do something. It's literally do or die. Like, I feel like that is like so dramatic, but it's literally the truth. If I didn't do something, it was just gonna end bad.
Then we're going to do 2 squat cleans. Ready, you're gonna be demonstrator. So 1 squat clean, 2 front squats, 1 third, easy. Next we're going to do 2 squat cleans.
January of 2016. It was my New Year's resolution. Surprise, surprise. I actually kept with it for once. I signed up for a women's only gym because I was extremely intimidated to work out with men. I was doing cardio. I was doing a low carb, high fat diet. I lost about 45, 50 pounds on my own. I was getting really bored of just doing the cardio. I was getting to the point where I was like gonna fall off again. So my best friend, Jessica, she had been doing CrossFit for a couple months prior, and she had been trying to get me to go with her, and I was like, no. Of course, intimidated and like scared like everybody is, you know, and I didn't think I would ever be able to do a CrossFit workout. I didn't think I would ever be able to lift the weight that you see these people lifting, and then finally I gave in and I went into the box, and that was that.
She was scared. She was scared, like most people new to CrossFit, they're scared. But at the end of the day, I told her it's just a workout. You'll be fine, and we'll be done in an hour.
The people at my gym, honestly, they keep me accountable. You know, like if I don't go to a workout, it's like, why aren't you at the box? You know, why aren't you here?
There were several times that I had to tell her, I said, Franny, we're your family. We're your family. You don't have to feel like you're doing this on your own. If you're having a rough day, it's okay. Come to the gym, work out. We're gonna support you no matter what. Because she did have some rough days in there where just like the scale wasn't moving or she wasn't feeling like she was making progress. I mean, it's a very emotional battle, as well as physical and mental when you're trying to lose that much weight. And I just think that it was very helpful for her to get in here and have people who didn't even know her rally around her and say, you can do this, Franny.
Altogether, I've lost 130 pounds. I feel better, obviously, and I sleep comfortably. I'm up in the morning with energy. I'm not lagging to get out of the door in the morning. Like, I get up at 4 a.m. so I can go to CrossFit at 5. You know, I never did that before. I've seen my body change so much, and I've seen my health improve and my mindset. So many people ask me, what was it that made you make that change? And it's just like, or how do you keep yourself motivated? It's like, how could you not be at this point, you know? I'm just so grateful for the changes that I was able to make. Before, I would always feel sorry for myself. I would always want to blame, you know, I always wanted to blame my parents for everything. And sometimes I still do, but now it's like, you're 28, you have to take accountability for your own life. And I can't spend any more time reliving those horrible years that I grew up. I guess I just look at it differently now because I'm in a different mindset. You know, let's move on and try and not forget, but, you know, forgive essentially. Forgive all of those bad things that happened to me, and I work on that every day. It's a daily struggle, but who I was shaped me into the person that I was the last, 26 years, and for whatever reason, my light switch went on and I was like, okay, it's time to get up and change your life, and I did it.